Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm from the Oxford Centre for Buddhist Studies, and the last few years especially I've been teaching Pali online and developing ways to teach and for people to learn about Pali online. It's now 2018, so 20 years ago I went to Oxford. I did my master's degree and a PhD in early Buddhist studies, where I focused on Pali and Sanskrit as well. So since then I've been involved with things involving the Oxford Centre for Buddhist Studies, but I've been teaching and working in Thailand, in India, back in the UK. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about new ways that you can learn about Pali online. A lot of resources there. So how do you do it? What is the best way? So anyway, why would you want to learn Pali? A classical language, it's a dead language, strictly speaking. It's not a natural language which people speak and communicate in. So the main reason, of course, is to learn about Buddhism, and particularly the Buddha's teachings. How do you do that? Well, nowadays there is a tremendous amount of material online. You can get the whole of the Pali Canon translated into English if you want. There's a lot of very good resources. And what I will do is, I will just show you a few of these now. I'm clicking now. Okay, this is the main, I'd say this is probably the main site for Buddhist, the Tipitaka, the Pali Canon, translated into English. Access to inside, very good site. If you want to read the Pali Canon, just go here. It's all in English. I don't think there are so many Thai resources, unfortunately, but if you are conversant in English, here it all is. Okay, so just let me show you how this works. It's pretty simple. You can see one of the titles here is Tipitaka. There are other things as well. There's a library of lots of teachings. But if we click on, say, one of the divisions of the Tipitaka, let's say Majjhima Nikaya, sit down. So you can get into the Majjhima Nikaya, one of the main collections of the Buddhist teachings. We go scroll down. Let's say that the 10th sutta is the Satipatthana Sutta. So if you're interested in meditation, you just go here. There are 3 translations. If you click on them, there you have the Satipatthana Sutta is in English with a nice introduction. So here it is. It's a nice website. You get the texts explained, and then we have the translation itself. So if you want to learn about Pali and you don't know anything about Pali Canon, it's here at the touch of a button, very easy. So I don't know if any people here have any experience in reading the Pali Canon in translation in English, but it's quite a daunting thing. It's a little bit difficult. It's not such an easy thing to work through. If you say, for example, start reading this, you realize that even if it's a good translation, it doesn't make great reading. Because the Pali Canon wasn't written originally. It wasn't written, let alone to be translated into English. It was recited orally. It was composed in such a way that Buddhist monks could recite it in a group, in a ritual setting in a Buddhist monastery. Now, the conditions that imposes on any text is very different from if you write something down. It's a completely different scenario. So a translation of this is sort of, it's like a piece of frozen oral recitation that goes back a couple of thousand years or more. It's not really composed to be put into this format. It's very repetitive. It seems very technical. It's a little bit off-putting. And if you try to learn the Pali Canon in translation, it's difficult to make progress unless you're very scholastic-minded. Okay, so just a couple of problems with this then is the structure of the Tipitaka doesn't translate well into English. It's really meant to be heard. You're meant to go and listen to the Tipitaka being recited. Even translations lose something. You never quite get the same meaning in any particular Pali word as in any translation. I suppose it's a bit different with Thai because you have lots of words from Pali in the Thai language. But in English, it's a quite different thing. So Pali is something very close to the Buddha's language. It probably isn't exactly what the Buddha spoke. It has been revised and technically developed as the Pali canon has been transmitted. But it's very close. I think the Buddha would probably understand what's in the Pali canon. So we have it there. It's like a time capsule. We have the Buddha's teachings. Why not learn the language? So how do you do that then? How to learn Pali? Okay, so the old-fashioned way of learning Pali, you have two choices. You can go to university, if you can find a university which teaches Pali, which is not so easy, or you can go to a monastery and become a monk. So that is obviously, that happens a lot. You get people coming from the West, they become monks. Not many of them learn Pali though, some of them do. I was a bit lucky. When I started my university career, I just wanted to go to a good university that could teach me something about Buddhism, Asian religion. So I went to Bristol University, and when I got there, I found out, oh, here's a course, you can learn Pali. What's Pali? I didn't know what Pali was. I didn't know anything. So I got there, I could learn Pali, tried it out, and it wasn't very difficult. I mean, actually, when I was in school, I was quite bad at languages. We learned French when I was in school, and I wasn't very good at it. And then all of a sudden, you're learning Pali in a university, and it was easier than French. So the other way would be to go to a monastery, become a monk, and then you can learn Pali. That's not so easy, actually. It's not easy to go to a monastery and become a monk, especially if you're a woman. You can't really do it. But even if you go to most monasteries in the Theravada world, it might not be easy to learn Pali. Since I've been teaching Pali online, we get contact from monks in Thailand, Sri Lanka, Burma, and they ask us, can we come on your course? Can we learn Pali? And I say, well, can't you learn Pali in your monastery? And they say, no. So some monasteries you can do it. It's difficult. I think Kunbo has been a monk, and did you learn Pali when you were a monk?
Not really.
Okay. Okay, so we come to the main subject of this lecture, which is how to learn online. We have the internet now, is full of resources to learn Pali. So I will just go online and show you what it is like. So I'm just going to do a simple search on Internet Explorer, learn Pali, and see what comes up. So this is a Google search to learn Pali, and as you can see, we have 11 million results. If you want to learn Pali, there's 11 million things you can go and look at, web pages. That's a bit confusing. That's not so easy to go through. But on the first page, we have some useful things. Straight away, we have some good video links that you can go to. You can click on a free PDF book. Okay, so here's a good elementary Pali course book by Venerable Narada Thera. It's a good book. It's free. But let's say you know nothing about language learning and you've come in to try to learn Pali. You might not really understand what is happening in this book. Let's say you don't know you're not very expert, have no expertise in language, and you want to learn Pali, and you download this free book. You might not know what this means. You have this table in front of you, a grammatical table. If you're used to learning languages, you understand. But for most people, they will think, okay, this is too difficult. I will not be carrying on with this. Okay, so if any of you are used to learning classical languages, you will know that in the left-hand side that nom stands for nominative, and you will know what the word nominative means. But if you've not learned classical languages, you don't know what that is. So this is a bit difficult. Very good resource, but it's a bit difficult unless you have a teacher, which would be the traditional way of learning. Okay, so that is just one of the free resources you can get, which is useful if you know what you're doing. Right away on this first page then, Google search for Learn Pali. You have this, which is a course in the Pali language from the Bodhi monastery. Now this is very good resource. This is Bhikkhu Bodhi, is an American monk who has translated much of the Pali canon into English. He's very well respected, he's an expert in Pali, and he has a free Pali course. So here it is. It's a series of lectures which are audio recordings. So if you click on any one of them, This is Bhikkhu Bodhi.
So we now begin our introduction to Pali class.
Okay, so you get the picture, is that you can click on this and get Bhikkhu Bodhi's introduction to Pali. It's very good. But how many... Oh, we lost it. Is it very easy to use? It might not be so easy to use if you don't really understand how to learn Pali. Now also, these lectures by Bhikkhu Bodhi, they're quite long. So if you're a dedicated student, then this is a really good resource. But if you're a normal person, you might find it a little bit challenging. So that's just a couple of things that if you do a Google search, you can find out about learning Pali. 2 very good resources. Now, if you maybe you know they're very good because I'm explaining to you that they're very good. If you don't have any teacher here to tell you that they're very good, then you just have this. You have the internet and all of the results that come up on the internet about how to learn Pali. You can get lost because, you know, how to find your way around the maze of 11 million pages on learning Pali. Okay, so there you go. There are lots of pages which say, have the question, how do I learn Pali? And you look on them and they tell you pretty much what I've told you already. Okay, so just to sum up then, if you're an independent student, if you're not affiliated to a university or a monastery, then navigating the online resources is not so easy. There's lots of resources. Who to trust? We don't know. There's so much information and there's no guidance if you're an independent student. How do you know it's a quality bit of information? Is it user-friendly? I don't think that most things that are put together for free on the internet are very user-friendly. So websites can be a bit basic, and they're difficult because Pali, if you're going to learn Pali, is going to take quite a bit of time. Anything worthwhile doing in the world will take you time. There's no shortcut. You just have to carry on doing it. But that's a bit difficult if your only resources is free material on the web. You don't know what the structure of learning is. You have to plan it all yourself. You can get free books, but then you have to learn, you have to use the books, you have to read the books. The books might not be so easy to read if you don't have a teacher. In short, there is nothing like learning in a classroom with a teacher the old-fashioned way. That is the problem with trying to learn by yourself on the internet. Okay, so let me tell you what I've been doing with the Oxford Centre for Buddhist Studies the last few years to try and resolve some of these problems about online learning. So anyway, the OCBS, founded in 2004 by Professor Richard Gombrich. He was my PhD supervisor, so he's my teacher. He was the professor of Sanskrit in Oxford, and that's a picture of him. So there's Professor Richard Gombrich. In 2004, he founded the OCBS around the time of his retirement. The OCBS is a recognized independent center of the University of Oxford. It's not, strictly speaking, part of the university. So the university doesn't give it any money. So it has no money. And it is trying to develop ways of learning and teaching that be a little bit more innovative, because it's not really part of the university. So Richard Gombrich, his academic career, he's focused mainly on Theravada Buddhism and early Buddhism. It's from him that I really learned Pali. Now, specifically, what we started doing a few years ago was something called the Pali Online School. So, okay, we started in, I think it was 2014 or 2015, we started the Pali Online School. So just let me show you what that was like. So this, if you wanted to study Pali, this was a new way of doing it, the Pali Online School. So the Pali Online School, the last one we did was in January this year. We probably will do 1 or 2 more next year. What it was essentially it was a 3-week online virtual seminar. So if you join this course, you will be working 6 days a week over 3 weeks for about 4 to 5 hours a day, you would get tuition in a group with Professor Gombrich and me. So that's good. You get 3 weeks of intense Pali. You have a course book specially written for the course, and it's very focused, and it follows a very particular method of learning. Now, not many people in the world have 3 weeks that they can take off to learn Pali. That was the problem. And a lot of people found that 4 or 5 hours a day, it's pretty demanding. It's quite hard going. Finally, the cost, it was a bit prohibitive. The last one we did, we charged £750. It's not cheap. So to pay for anything quality, to get anything quality, you have to pay. And anyway, they were the problems with it. Sangha members we gave a 50% discount to, and we did have some monks and nuns registering to learn this. So, but anyway, if you could afford this, if you could take the time, it was very good, because the technology that we have now makes this possible. We use the Zoom platform, so everybody logged in, we could share documents on screen, we could move people into separate study rooms to do particular exercises, we could monitor the different study rooms, and we could bring everybody back. The technology makes this possible, but still, it's a demanding way of doing it. Okay, so maybe next year I will be leading one of these courses, and if you want to know about that, I can tell you, but it's a bit demanding, and so we've been trying to think of other ways to teach Pali online. Okay, so the major benefit of doing this Pali online school is it's a virtual classroom. It's like being in a classroom. You have face-to-face contact with other students, and you have a teacher who can tell you to work harder or to take it easy or to do this or to do that. The problems is it's a bit expensive and it takes a lot of time and commitment. So we created something new this year called the Pali online course. Now this is a new venture which we're still developing and creating, but we've started to release Pali modules, which is on demand. And it's on demand, it's like Netflix. Everything is there, pre-recorded, and once you buy the course, very cheap, you have all the learning documents, instruction, videos that you need. Yeah, better than Netflix, I think. Okay, so I just show you this now. We click into it. So here is the new website. Do you want to learn Pali? Hands up, anybody who wants to learn Pali. Okay, so it's a nice, easy website. You want to learn Pali, you just click on this.
ก็เป็นเว็บไซต์ที่ง่ายใช้ง่ายนะครับก็แค่คลิกเข้าไป
Click on I want to learn Pali, and you can learn Pali. So let me explain a bit about these courses then. We have released 2 levels, 2 individual courses so far, Pali level 1, Pali level 2. They start with assuming you know nothing about learning Pali or any language. Okay, so if you don't know anything about learning language, you don't know the discipline of studying languages, you don't know what a subject, a verb, or an object, or an adjective is, it explains everything from literally ground zero. So I will just click on Pali level 1 and show you what we have in here. So if you do this course, you click on here, you have an explanation of what is contained in the course, which basically comes to there are 24 individual lessons in the course. That comes up to about 3.5 hours of recorded video instruction. And you get vocabulary lists, you get exercises, you get PDF to download. Everything is included. We reckon that probably it will take 4 to 5 weeks to finish this course if you study 3 to 4 hours per week. But you can do it at your own discretion. You can do it whenever you want. You could take much longer if you want, or you could do it in much shorter time frame if you wanted. So you have all the lessons. Now just to show you, it starts with, you have an introduction, but the first lesson is explaining what Pali is and what the history of Pali is and where it goes back to. Does it go back to the Buddha himself? So this is, if you click on any particular lesson, what you will see is, first of all, a video instruction. If you click on the video instruction, oh, there you go. It's me.
In lesson 1 of the Pali course, we will be asked The arrival of Buddhism.
Okay, so unfortunately that's me, but you get to see, it's like having a lecturer on your laptop. It's quite nice. Below the video, then you will get a fact sheet, which is a free PDF download. So if I click on that, then you get all of the essential facts and information covered in that lecture. So you get, this lecture is about what Pali is, what the Pali canon is, what type of language it is. And it's there on a nice, easy fact sheet. It's only a page or so long. Just over a page long. Okay, so you get that for everything. Now, let me go back. So you have grammar tables, you have a vocabulary list, a vocabulary index. So for the whole of this Pali Level 1 course, the document I'm opening now is a list of all the Pali words that are used in that course. So to learn your vocabulary, this is one of the ways you can do it. It's not loading.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, this is a structured, very highly structured and thought out package to learn Pali. So it starts assuming you know nothing. So here we have a lesson on the Pali alphabet, the sound system, using a dictionary, even before you get to sentences. Now on each of these things, yes, let me just show you what the exercises are like. So if you do this course and you want to do this exercise, you just click on Start Exercise, and you have a lot of questions connected to the lecture of that particular module. So you can just go through, it's multiple choice, you can click whatever. This is a dictionary exercise. So let me see which is, okay, that is right. So I'm just going to answer 3 questions. Get the summary, I've only answered 2. It will calculate my score now. I got 1 out of 12. Okay, 8%. Okay, so I got 1 out of 12. I want to see how I could do better. So I view the questions. Okay, now it tells me what I've got wrong and what I should have answered.
Which one?
So the red is the mistake, what I filled in, and the green is correct. Okay, so it's like this. It's all there. You get your score. And yeah, by level 10, you start getting vocabulary exercises. So this is a nice way of building up your Pali vocabulary. How many words in Pali do you know? So let's start this exercise. Okay, I try to do better in this exercise. Let's see if I can do better. Kukura is a dog. Putter is a child or a son. Adja is a nanny goat. Acharya is teacher. Upasika is a lay. Let's put a layman. I make an intentional mistake. A brahmana should be a priest, but let's put layman. Kama, desire. Yana, a carriage. Siha is lion. Upasika, okay, layman. And Kanya is a girl. Right now, I got 2 wrong in this. So let's see if it can give me the right score. Let's see what my score is this time. Okay, 9 out of 11. I'm doing better. I'm getting better at Pali. 81%. Let's see what happened with what I got wrong. Okay, so green is correct. Upasika, it should have been laywoman. Brahmana should have been priest. Okay, so that is how the system works. Everything is ready for you to do your Pali learning, however you wish. So let me just show you one more feature, which is the translation exercises. So
Yeah.
I go to lesson 12, and I will click on exercise. Okay, so here is translation. Let's start the exercise. Okay, so we have Pali to English translation, and then English to Pali translation. So I just add Jokadati. Okay, now that should be the correct answer. The goat is eating. So I will just answer that and see what happens. So yeah, I've answered one question. Finish exercise. Oh, I answered the wrong box, I think. Let's go back and see what happened. Okay, I got them wrong. Let me try again. Restart exercise. Let's see if this works. Okay, I wrote this course, so I should get this right, I think. Okay, I think this will work. Okay, I got one right.
Okay.
16%. Let's review this. Yes, I got that one right. There we
Okay.
go. Okay, so that is, everything is ready there for anybody to learn Pali, starting with zero knowledge. So the first level of this course, there are 24 lessons in total, and the last thing that we do is the three refuge, the Sarana chant. So if I just go into the fact sheet, you will see that when you chant Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, what does that mean? How to analyze that grammatically. So that is what the final lesson of level 1 is. It's still fairly basic. So you see just there is a grammatical analysis of what going to refuge means. Okay, so that is the end of the Pali level 1 course. Now I just show you very briefly then, not much time, I just show you in Pali level 2. So Pali level 1 is complete beginners. Pali level 2 is getting into intermediate Pali. If you know a bit, it builds on level 1. Roughly the same amount of work is expected and the same structure in terms of all of the exercises. The end of the Pali level 2 is starting with reading the Satipatthana Sutta. So just let me show you what that looks like. So here is the lecture of the lesson. The Satipatthana Sutta.
Statement. Usually it's best to put passive statements into an active voice. I heard thus. But the standard...
Okay, so there is the opening formula of the Satipatthana Sutta. Evang me suttang, ekang samayang bhagava kurusu viharati, kamasa dhammang nama karunam nigamo. Thus have I heard, one time the Blessed One was staying among the Kurus, in a town of the Kurus called Kamasa Dhammang. So, by the end of the second level of the online Pali course, you're learning about Satipatthana. So we cover mindfulness of breathing, especially. And here is the fact sheet from that lesson, which gives you all of the translation of the opening of the Satipatthana Sutta, as well as the analysis of the words. Okay, so that is what we've been doing at the OCBS to make it easier to learn Pali online. Okay, so the Pali online course is an on-demand course, which means that all of the instruction is there for you to work at your own pace. Everything is included. It's inexpensive. The price in pounds is £80. It's inexpensive, it's a high quality product. The interface is quite good thanks to our web designers, and the structure is very carefully prepared in terms of the words you learn and the grammatical complexity. It has quite good time control, which means that for every lesson, the video instructions, the lectures are short, and they contain essential information. And after that, you might say, okay, I do this course, I still will be on my own. How do I get in touch? How do I have contact with a teacher? Well, we give feedback. We have a Facebook page where you can come and ask our problems, or there is an interface underneath every lesson. You can ask questions and we will give an answer. there is still one problem that we haven't solved with this course, is the classroom experience, because you're learning alone. Now, nothing beats being in a classroom with a teacher. This is a course to do by yourself. The teacher's recorded, and you get the teacher coming into your room, but you still cannot interact with the teacher. So what we will do is, at some point next year, we will build in a new feature where you can opt to come be part of a virtual online seminar. So you log in for an hour, you book the hour seminar, and with a class of people and the teacher, you get to discuss any particular Pali problems you have. So all of that is possible with the technology available now. Okay, so just a final point is that the benefit of doing this online teaching like this is that we get lots of useful data. Data is a big, news story these days. Google has data, Facebook has data. They sell your data for money and make profit. But we can use the data that you provide us to make you better at Pali. So when you do your Pali exercises, we get to analyze your performance. And we get graphs like this, and we can see what types of mistakes you make. I don't think there's a way of monetizing your mistakes in Pali. So we will not be using your data to make a profit, so I can assure you of that. So we use it to help you with your Pali. Now this is quite useful because this type of data has never been, no one's ever had this data before. Let us say that we had a university in Thailand or Sri Lanka, and the Department of Pali said, we want our first year Pali students to register with your course. So they take our course. At the end of every week, we work out a structure, they do exercises. We get to analyze their exercises, and we give a report back to the teacher. And we can say where your students are going wrong, where they're going right, what they need to work on, etc. So all of this stuff, technology, really does have an advantage. So this result actually is from lesson 12 of the first level of the Pali course. And the problems with translating Pali into English have mainly been about mixing up the singular and the plural. So the yellow segment and the blue segment, the blue segment and the orange segment, they're just simple mistakes with mixing up a singular noun with a plural noun. The yellow segment, 40% is wrong translation, so they need to work on their vocabulary. Okay, so that is what we're doing in the Oxford Centre for Buddhist Studies. So we're trying to help the world of Pali, make it more easily accessible for people. So in the past, at the very beginning, when Pali was not a natural language, how did you learn Pali? You went to a monastery and you had to learn it from the monks. Okay, then eventually the Pali canon was written down. So it was written down on manuscripts. On the right-hand side of the screen here, as we look at it, they are some leaves of the golden Pali text, which goes back to the 4th century AD in Burma, probably the first transmission of Pali to Southeast Asia. There are good resources now to read and get access to Pali manuscripts online. When you reach an advanced stage, that's possible. But still, this is pretty inaccessible and difficult to do. So in the last 150 years, 160 years, we've had printed editions of Pali texts. A couple of things of interest here. On the left-hand side is the first ever Pali text to be printed, I think, is the Dhammapada in 1855. And then after that, in 1881, the Pali Text Society was founded by T.W. Rhys Davids in the top right. Okay, Victorian England, and being involved in Pali, I quite like it, but that's in the past now. So that's Pali 3.0. And now we have Pali 4.0, is you can learn online. So if you want to learn Pali, you can click that box, or you can just go into Google, type Learn Pali, and pick any of the 11 million pages that are there. Up to you. Okay, thank you, Kumbo. And if anybody has any questions then. Okay, then the question is about how does Pali sound? Just let me then show you.
Do you have the audio sound?
There is audio sound, I'll show you now, yeah. So in Pali level 1, the last lesson is on the 3 refuges. So if I start this here.
order consists of
Just let me get the right place.
Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Okay, there is pronunciation.
That's pronounced by the so-called native Pali speaker.
By me, I'm afraid.
All right.
So that is
That's
the
good
English
enough, right?
pronunciation of Pali. I try my best. But what you have in Burma, in Thailand, Sri Lanka, it's always different pronunciation.
I also have a problem with the translation of the graph, the pie chart that you show.
Okay.
If you happen to make no mistakes in the
Yes.
exercise, then how will the graph show?
It would just be gold. The whole pie would be gold.
I mean,
It'd be-
everything is wrong, 100% wrong.
Oh, if you get
Oh,
everything wrong.
Well, because it's the mistakes in there.
No, but there are
so-
different types of mistakes, so we could break it up into different types
Correct,
of mistakes.
but if you made everything right, then how will...
Then you don't need a pie chart. You just say, okay, you're fine. Go to the next level.
All right, then.
But, I mean,
It's kind of misinterpretation in that somehow, I would believe.
well, okay, there are certain things that a computer program cannot handle. And at some point of translating any language, there are subtleties that cannot be put into any algorithm. And that is when you need a teacher to speak with. Because you might be 100%, but still your translation might not be very good. So that is, there's only so far the technology can go.
And again, sorry, too many questions. And the translation, if you happen to translate from Pali into English, but you misspell the words in English or you write the wrong grammar in English, how will that be interpreted by the system?
We put, for every answer, we give a range of possible correct solutions. Now so a lot of that problem will be cut out. But still there will be, somebody might get a right answer but might not be recognized. So what they also get is we give a solution. So for any exercise, just let me show you, let's say, okay, lesson 21, translation exercise solution. So you get the answers basically.
I see.
So if you're unsure why your answer is incorrect, you get this. So here is the correct answers that we've provided. And underneath this, there's an analysis as well. So we try and cover as much as possible.
Thank you.
Okay, just here. Thank you for that very difficult question. I'm not sure whether, in some respects, it might be easier to learn Pali to English. But probably if you're from Thailand and you have so many words from Pali in your language, it would be better if, say, this document was in Thai. That would be better. And it would be better if the videos were given with subtitles in Thai, I think. Yeah, so far we've only done an English version, but if you would like to help in creating a Thai version, then we would do that. But still, I think even if we do that and we make a Thai Pali version, learning some of the English, it would be very helpful as well. Because certain things like, say, for example, the way that Pali is spelt in Thai, the way Pali is pronounced in Thai, it would help to get a different perspective than that, I think. So, for example, in the bottom right, we have a sentence, Kumarika, Dukkha, Kandanti. So the word dukkha, suffering. Obviously, how would you say that in Thai? Tuk, tuk. So, tuk. Okay, so that's Thai pronunciation. It's fine if you understand the meaning. But look at the word, we have dukkha. Now that ending a has a particular meaning. It's not just tuk. There is an extra layer. So
อย่างเช่นคำว่าทุกขาเนี่ยไอ้ตรงขาเนี่ยก็มีความหมายของมันเองมันก็ถ้าเกิดเรียนบาลีมันก็จะขยายได้อีกมันไม่ใช่ไทยต้องมาไทย 100%
anyway, it's just in some ways it does help to see the Roman. Well, with the Oxford Centre for Buddhist Studies, I suppose you could say we follow the Gombrich method. So my teacher was Richard Gombrich. He was professor of Sanskrit. He teaches Pali in a quite innovative way, but it is taught very much as a language. So it's quite different from a traditional way of learning Pali. I cannot say that it is any particular method. It's just his way. Just let me give you one example of how the difference from traditional learning is. In traditional learning, there is quite a lot of emphasis on memorization, repetition. In this, when I've been learning Pali with Gombrich, he says, don't memorize anything, understand it. And that's a different way completely. So if you understand what a sentence means, if you understand Kumarika, Dukkha, Khandanti, that's how you remember, through understanding. I think we have just maybe one more question.
Is there any online Pali, English dictionary that you would recommend, please?
Yes, if you want a Pali dictionary, just type in Pali English Dictionary, and it goes to the Chicago University website, and that is a version of the Pali Text Society dictionary. It's very easy to find. It will come up straight away in Google, Pali English Dictionary. Okay.
Thank you.
For those things, we will be adding these courses we do. We will have add-ons explaining how to use things like that. The dictionary. Otherwise, all of the Pali canon is online in some very good formats. So we will do tutorials for things like that. Okay, so I think that's it. But we gave a sheet at the beginning. 1 second, welcome. If you got the handout at the beginning, on the sheet, there is a coupon code if you want to learn Pali, where you get a discount. If you wish to register for this course, there is a coupon on it.
Yeah. All right. So am I right to conclude that if we learn on the POC like this, we cannot take the grammar that is taught here, or, well, that's another question. Is there any grammar in particular to be taught on the website, on the system? And if there is one, second part, can we take that as the standard Bali grammar, or it's just the individual, your professor's standard grammar?
Well, you either, when you do a language course, the grammar can only be right or wrong. There's no particular way or method. You either get it right or wrong. But so the grammar that we present is no different than what you would get in any grammatical book. You know, you have past tense explained, you have present tense explained, future tense that is explained as there is only one way.
Right.
But the particular way of constructing the course, the layout, and certain points of explaining maybe compounds or something like that, the style is individual.
Sure, I don't have a problem with that, but the grammar is correct, so it's standardized, and the way we put the words, the way we convert the tenses.
Yes.
So those are standardized, and it is taught on the system as well.
It's all on there, yeah. So
On there, right.
on the first level, it's just present tense, and in the second level, you get the future, you get the past,
And
it
how to
builds.
form the sentences.
Exactly,
correct.
yes.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
You have to have that. It's you have to explain
the
grammar.
is out there. All right, sure. Thanks.
ขอบพระคุณทุกท่านเลยนะคะ On behalf of the Bangkok Thailand Center, I would like to use this opportunity to express our sincere gratitude and appreciation to Dr. Alexander Wynne and Wynne for the valuable time and enlightening session today. And now may I invite the Assistant Governor of Bank of Thailand, Ms. Navapon นะคะ รับคำกล่าว to present Dr. Alexander and Wynne with a token of our appreciation. เรียนเชิญท่านผู้ช่วยผู้ว่าการ